Hello, welcome to SuzieVision. I am Susie, and this is my channel about all things Disney, travel, Lego, all sorts. Um, so today I wanted to discuss something I have not discussed before. I kind of suddenly realised it in the last week or so. We're going to discuss it. All right, so in the last week, several things have happened in the world of theme parks. The first is Epic Universe, Universal's third. I don't know whether to call it the third gate or fourth gate because I personally do not consider the water parks to be a gate. But Universal heavily marketed Volcano Bay as being their third gate. So in my head, Epic Universe is the third gate, but technically it might be the fourth. I don't know. But it's the new park, brand new park at Universal Florida Resort. Why has that got me thinking? And what else has happened this week? Oh my goodness, yes. So this week, after like literally years of rumours and speculation and clear investigation that was going on by Universal / the UK government finally announced that Universal is going to open a resort in the UK, in, I believe, Bedfordshire. Now, they're not expecting to open this resort for at least 6 years. I think they were talking about 2031. Within 24 hours of that announcement coming out, analysts have said there's no way they can even build it by 2031. So we'll see what happens with that. I have no clue what needs doing, but apparently we don't have enough bricklayers and steel workers or something. But it has the potential to create 28,000 jobs, according to Universal, 20,000 during the construction, 8,000 once it officially opens as permanent staff. So I have many a thought about whether it's a good thing for the UK theme park scene or not, which I shall discuss later on in this video. But what has all of this got me thinking about? It's got me thinking about it has now been 10 years since I actually went to a Universal theme park. 10 years, that's crazy. And I kind of wanted to talk about why, because I think it's something that a lot of people don't clock is the case. But if it applies to you, boy, does it apply to you. So get yourselves comfy and let's have a chat. So, why have I not been to Universal for 10 years? Now, I love Universal in a lot of ways. I think some of their attractions are fantastic. But, I think it's good to have Universal and Disney in the same place because it creates competition. I mean, not just monetary and attendance competition, but actual creative competition. And it can only lead to better things. So even if I don't go to Universal, I think it's a good thing that they are there. And I was an annual I've been an annual well, I'm not an annual pass holder with anyone at the moment, but I was an annual pass holder at Universal Studios for a lot longer than I was ever that's the post. A lot longer than I was ever an annual pass holder at Disney. And part of the reason was cost. This was pre-Volcano Bay. It was so much cheaper to have an annual pass. I never had the top tier. I think I had what was called at the time the preferred annual pass, which allowed me access to. I don't think I had any blockout dates. If I did, it was probably like Thanksgiving and Christmas, which I would never go to anyway, for various reasons. So it didn't have all the extras. Like they used to give you X number of bottles of water and fast passes after 4 o'clock if you had the top tier pass. So this was the one that had everything, but not that extra stuff. And I loved it. And the renewal, so I think it was something, I say this is back in the day. It cost me something like $300 originally to get it. And then it was something like $150 to renew it each year, which basically was me going in twice in 1 year. But when you accounted for car parking and the fact you were getting discounts on food, drink, etc., and merch, it was a no-brainer to renew it because it was just so much easier to do it that way. And it was my park hopper ticket. Like it was a no-brainer. And at that point in time, I think the Disney pass was costing me in the region of $500 to $600. I think it was more like $600 dollars for a pass, which I want to say had blockout dates. I can't really remember, to be honest. So a lot of the time I would not by default renew the Disney one, but I would by default renew the Universal one. I also could renew it at home. I just had to call up the number and they would renew it over the phone, which as an international guest makes it a lot easier as well. Because Disney, I think you have to still, to some extent, go to the park entrance or something. I could be wrong about that, so don't quote me on that. But like, it was a pain to try and renew my Disney annual pass. So I was never eligible for the renewal price. Anyway, so like I loved going to Universal. And me and my sister, we used to often like do a 1 or 2 night stay at one of the Universal resorts. So I know she's stayed at the Royal Pacific. I have stayed at Portofino and Hard Rock. I have now, totally separate to that, stayed at oh gosh, what's it called? The Dockside, Endless Summer Dockside, because we stayed there on a recent trip but didn't go into the parks. But I hit a point where, and I'll be honest, this isn't an easy topic to discuss. But for quite a while that I had the annual pass, some of the rides were a struggle for me to get on. Just because of my size and shape. Now, when it first started happening, I wasn't actually even that big. I was just hippie. Like, hippie, groovy baby. No, like, it's just that I carry my weight in my hips. That's the shape that I am. And the universal restraint systems very much have always seemed to be designed for a male body. One, I will say that's not unique to Universal either. Like, other theme parks do this as well, but they primarily cater for a male shaped body, not a female shaped body. And Universal in particular, as the Florida parks go, do not cater for anyone of any kind of size whatsoever. Now, my sister will often give, because we're not, she's taller and slightly smaller than me, but she will often describe a solo trip she did, where she went to the Incredible Hulk coaster at Islands of Adventure, and she was queuing up. And when you are a person, I've heard fluffy sized and Pooh sized. One of the things you naturally do is you're looking at other people in the queue and other people getting on the coaster to see whether you're likely to be okay. And my sister is not one, she does not like a test seat. It's Universal have historically placed their test seats right bang in front of the ride, which is great that they're visible. but it's almost like public humiliation at times, and you're like, I don't really want to get in the test seat and publicly humiliate myself. I'd rather do it where there's only like 20 people that can see me, not 100 people that can see me. So she queues up for the Hulk ride, and there's two guys that are much bigger than she is, that are very close to her in the queue. And I believe I'm right in saying the way the Hulk ride is set up is there are some what they call modified seats, which are designed that a slightly larger person might be able to get in them. And they were going to be in the same row. She went for the modified seat, and I think one of them was in modified seat and one of them wasn't. And all of their weight was in their gut, and they were able to fit. My sister, who had her weight in her hips, could not fit. And these two guys were just like, we don't get it. Like, you're so much smaller than her, than us. And she was like, yeah, but it's where I carry my weight. You can lift your gut in such a way that the restraint will still fit and it can come down, but it's my like hips and thighs that are actually blocking the restraint here, not my gut. My gut is absolutely fine. So yeah. So that was an experience she had. I had two experiences. One with a ride that the ride itself, not being able to go on it, didn't really bother me, because there's another reason I do not like the ride, which is Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. I did it once and I was like, I never need to do that again. And the reason is I'm extremely arachnophobic. And so for me, that I find that ride extremely difficult to go on anyway. But the second time I went to go and ride on that ride, I was with two friends, and they are what I would describe as stick thin friends. They don't ever need to worry about whether they can fit on a ride. And let's just say the team members definitely pushed down on my harness at that particular point in time. And I say I was a lot smaller than I am at the moment when that happened, but I did fit and I went on it. The other occasion, which I found far more embarrassing, was Rip Ride Rocket. Now, if you haven't been on it, Rip Ride Rocket, the restraint on it, it's not an over the shoulder and it's not a pull down. It kind of comes over from the side. And that is literally like the worst type of restraint you could give me, because it means that it has to come over my thigh in such a way that it doesn't really want to. So it's very obvious that the bar's basically doing this. Whereas when you're in one of the over the shoulder or one of the pull down ones, the bar is still like level. And anyway, I was with a friend, and in fairness, the team members were trying their best, but basically wasn't happening. They then had to release the whole car, and Rip Ride Rocket, you load up on a conveyor belt. So the thing is moving closer and closer, and they're running out of time, So they're like, right, hop out, and then you can go again afterwards. And my friend, whether she knew what was going on, I don't know, but she was kind of playing dumb about it as to what was going on, and we never ever mentioned it again, what had happened. But I was able to ride it. I can't say it was comfortable, but I was able to get on it. But it was just such an unpleasant experience, the entire thing. And it was at that point when I was like, on any of the Universal rides where they have any kind of restraint like those, it's just not going to happen for me. And I think at the time, Dueling Dragons, which had various renames over the years, and has now been long gone. That one I had always found uncomfortable because, again, it's the way the shape is designed. It's designed for someone with straight hips, not curvy hips. So I was always able to get on it, but I never ever found it comfortable. And you start kind of going through and you're like, right, I can't do that one. I can't do that one. I can't do that one. And so I hit a point where in time where I went back, I think, twice more. On both occasions, it was where I was with people from the UK that had never been and they wanted to go. And I would basically lie and say, I just don't like this. I've been on them. I'll queue up with you, but I just don't like I don't enjoy the ride. So you go on it and have a great time, and I'll see you at the exit. And that's how I played it. So if anyone's watching now and they see that and you're like, like I never had a fear of those rides whatsoever. The only one I ever had a legitimate fear of was Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. And it is for one very specific scene sequence. And I will say, on that second time I rode it, the ride did stop. And so part of my fear of ever riding it again was if it stopped in that scene, I would full on have a panic attack. And I know from working on roller coasters how long it takes to like unload someone or I never want to have to deal with that situation of being stuck in that run. So that's why whether the ride system was a problem or not, why I just would not go on it. So after those occasions, the only times I went back at all were for Halloween Horror Nights. Why? Because no rides are involved in Halloween Horror Nights. So I don't have to stress about it whatsoever, because if you're going to Halloween Horror Nights and doing the rides, you're doing something slightly wrong, quite frankly, because you should really be going for the houses, because you'll spend enough of your evening doing the houses that you don't need to worry about the rides. So there we go. So that was 10 years ago. And during that time, I discovered a lovely chap on YouTube. It goes under the name Theme Park Express. His name's Adrian. If you are a Pooh-sized person and you have not watched his videos, I highly recommend checking out his channel. I'll put a link to it in the description box below, because one of his things, and I think one of the reasons he first started doing videos in the first place was he shows the test seats, and he gets in the test seats and he shows you how to shift your weight so that you can get in if you're kind of borderline. He shows you exactly how much room there is, where the green light is, where the red light is, and so on. I have yet to be brave enough to ever film myself doing a test seat. But yeah, highly recommend his videos. Now, just to be a little bit balanced on this, because it does probably sound like I'm having a dig at Universal over the seat thing. At Disney, and I'm talking about Disney World specifically here, there are only 2 attractions that let's call it 1.5 attractions that I cannot go on. The half is Tron, which my sister and I tried the test seat out for, like, it was during like a late night or a late event, or it was some reason we were at the park late at night. I think it was like might have been deluxe magic hours or something, And we tried it out when there was no one around. And I'm so glad we did, because that was definitely a sight to behold, me trying out that test seat. She was fine, like, trying out the test seat. I mean, we both got the same result as each other, which we were expecting, but she did it in a much more delicate manner. Um, I am klutz and a half, and my goodness, did I make a meal of it. So we can ride it in the so-called bucket seats in the back row, but not on the bike seat. So that's why I consider it a half thing, because we can actually go on it, just not in the way that the ride was originally designed. The one attraction that I cannot go on at Disney is, what's it called? Avatar Flights of Passage. Now, funnily enough, this has led to some embarrassing moments as well. The embarrassing moment being someone going, "Oh, have you ridden Flights of Passage?" and me going, "No." Sorry about that. So my phone storage was full. So yeah, someone would say like, "Oh, have you ridden Flights of Passage?" I kind of go, "No, just don't really fancy it. Not my kind of thing." And they go, "Oh no, you should definitely ride it. It's like the best thing ever." And I'm looking at this person going, you haven't got a clue, because you are a thin, skinny person. You don't even have to think about whether you're going to fit on a ride. And I think if it was a larger person having the conversation with me, they would immediately clock why I was saying that I wasn't going on the ride and just kind of back off, and not make a big thing of it. Whereas they somehow managed to make a big thing of it, and I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I really, it's not my cup of tea. Don't really like Avatar. So yeah. So what? There is an irony to this, and obviously slightly scarred by the Universal situations that happened when Flights of Passage first opened. I kind of assumed that I wouldn't be able to go on it from the descriptions that I'd read about the seat mechanism and everything. And so I didn't want to go through the embarrassment of either having to get off the ride and exit, or having to deal with the test seat. So I made an assumption, and then I want to say it was about 2 years ago, my sister and I were out there. I was like, do you know what? I have no reason to be embarrassed. I don't have a problem with being the way I am, but I'd like to know. And I thought I'd love for my sister to be able to ride it as well. So I basically turned to her and said, do you know what? The next time we go, I'm going to go in that test seat for Flights of Passage. And if I get the green light, brilliant. If I don't get the green light, no skin off my back. I wasn't expecting to get to ride it anyway. But if I'm borderline, you're smaller than me, so you'll be able to go on. So we go along and we do the test seat, and I was borderline. The girl helping us was like, I wouldn't like to say that you could definitely get on, because she actually phrased it as, it depends on the cast member you get, whether there's obviously a certain technique that some cast members have and some cast members aren't prepared to mess with. And so she was like, some cast members will be able to get you in, but some will not, because they'll see it is not quite doing it and they'll just go no. So I was like, that's fine. So I think we had a fast pass or something for it. Can't entirely remember. We definitely didn't go in the long queue. And we went through the line. I got to see everything there is to see, which was actually the bit that I felt I'd missed out on, was that seeing the stuff in the queue. We went into, for want of a better description, the room that's got the ride vehicle things in. It's like a lineup of like 8 bike. Oh, wait, I don't know how many it actually is. And we sat down, and the cast member we actually had was, I would say, in the group of people that was like, not going to happen, and would assess that very quickly without kind of, I don't like using the word trying because I don't think that's fair to them, but without pushing a little further. But she was a similarly sized person to me, and it made all the difference in the way she treated it, because she was very discreet. She was kind of whispering everything in my ear about what was happening, and then she was like, just wait to the side. Didn't make a huge thing of it. My sister got on fine. She rode it. And we actually ended up with fast passes because of the fact that I'd queued for something. And we hadn't actually been, or I hadn't actually been able to ride it. So my sister and I both ended up with fast passes that we could use for literally anything, for the rest of the trip, which I thought was amazing. So I thought the irony of all of this is that if I had gone on Flights of Passage when it first opened, when I was smaller than I was at that point in time, I'd have been able to get on it. And it was that fear of embarrassment that actually ended up being the reason that I couldn't go on it, because I would have been able to get on that ride. And so there's an element of me that is kind of gutted that fear of embarrassment was ultimately the thing that stopped me from being able to do something that I would have loved to have done. Yes. So back to, why am I talking about this all now? Well, firstly, I kind of wanted to address why you will very, very rarely see any Universal content from me. And it's got nothing to do with the dislike of Universal parks. I don't have a dislike of Universal parks. I have a dislike, I say, of their ride restraint systems that they use, because I will never understand why, for all that time, Disney has been able to have accommodating ride systems, but Universal hasn't. I am all about safety. I never want safety to be compromised. But as I say, I can't understand why, if it's not a problem at Disney, why does it need to be a problem at Universal? And I just feel it's something that people should take into account. And I had a Twitter. I will forever call it Twitter. I'm not calling it the other name. I had a Twitter exchange with someone from Universal, and I can't remember the entire context of it, but at some point during the conversation, I think I said something about, I won't go into Universal until they have test seats outside the front of the park, or give you like measurements or something before you buy your ticket. To which the Universal person's response was, but we have test seats out the front of every attraction. I'm like, yeah, but you've got to buy a ticket to go in. So unless you're going to refund me after I've walked in, which you're not, that doesn't help me, because theme park tickets are expensive, and I'm not going to pay $100 or whatever it currently is to go into a park where I can't ride half the stuff. Like, that doesn't make fiscal sense to me. Yeah, they didn't quite get it, and so the conversation ended there. But then this week, Epic Universe Media Day happened. So you may be wondering, what's the significance of the Epic Universe Media Day happening? Well, we tell you, the lovely Adrian was invited. The various other vloggers were also invited, but the lovely Adrian was invited to the media day, and I was excited about this because I knew Adrian is a test seat guy, and I think he's done really well. He's lost, I want to say, he's lost something like £100 in the last year or so. I don't know. I could be completely wrong with my numbers there, but he's done really, really well. But he is a test seat guy at heart. He understands the plight of the Pooh-sized person, and so I was really excited to see him do the test seats, see what could be done, because I had honestly, from the moment Epic Universe was announced, I just kind of assumed I wouldn't be able to ride anything. So it was kind of a non-starter. I didn't get overly excited about it. I got excited about the Super Nintendo stuff because of the interactive, like, hit the blocks, all of that. And I got excited about the ride mechanisms for stuff. But I wasn't actually excited in terms of the idea of me actually being able to do any of this stuff. And so I put it down to a non-starter. And I watched his media day video, and he split it up. So he had a video where he just kind of showed them going around the various bits. They couldn't show any of the rides themselves. They just showed the ride, where possible, the ride vehicles. And then he did a separate video the day after where he showed the test seats. So thank you, Adrian, at Theme Park Express, for that video, because you did an amazing job on both videos. But particularly the test seat video. I love you for your test seat videos. So he was going on ride after ride after ride after ride. And I was like, now this is interesting, because theoretically he should be struggling to go on all of these things. And based on past experience with Universal attractions. And he showed the test seat for the Harry Potter and the battle for a battle at the Ministry, I think it's called. And it was like a Tower of Terror seat. And I was like, oh, hello. This looks good. And it actually looked like quite a wide seat as well, as being like a Tower of Terror seatbelt situation. And I was like, I'm liking this. And then he showed... Now, I'm probably going to get the names of all of these rides wrong. He showed the restraint for the one in Frankenstein Manor in Dark Universe. And the fact that, for those that don't know, I wouldn't describe this as a spoiler, but I suppose technically it's a spoiler. That ride mechanism it's on what's called a Kuka arm, which is the same type of ride mechanism that Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey uses. It's also a Kuka arm that they use for, I can't remember what the type of fish is called, but it's the fish with the little light that's got the big teeth at the Seas with Nemo and Friends slow moving attraction. If you've seen that fish moving, that is on a Kuka arm. It's got an incredible amount of movement that it can do. And certainly when they came up with, it wasn't Universal that came up with it, but when it was created, it was like revolutionary in theme park attraction terms. So the way they've done the seating is you've got groups of 4 seats, and within those groups of 4 seats, at least 2 of those seats are modified, which is crazy. Like 50% of the seats are modified seats. Wow. But not only that, they looked more spacious in the first place. I was like, this is incredible. He showed the Donkey Kong, I think it's Minecart Madness or called something like that. And they showed how they'd modified the restraint compared to Japan, because the ride was originally in Japan, which as soon as a ride originates in either Paris or Japan, you know it's going to have small seats. And so he showed it, and it was like, in Japan, the bar has to basically come down like this. But in the US, it's like this or something. I was like, this is incredible. That they've managed to adjust these restraints like this. And I think they did the same for the Yoshi ride, I think it was, which, I mean, it's a slow moving ride, so who knows why the restraint needed to come down quite as low as it apparently did in Japan. But in the US, they've managed to modify it and adjust it. And so now, if you are a large, you can absolutely go on it, no worries. And I say, I think out of all the attractions that he showed the test seats for, there were two where I thought, I will absolutely not be able to go on that. And the first one was Stardust Racers. And the second one, I believe, might have been the other one in Dark Universe. It was either that one or one in the How to Train Your Dragon area. I'll write the name of whatever it was, because I'll go back and check the video. But the way those restraints were was not. He described it as not being dissimilar from Velocicoaster, which, again, I have not tried the test seat for, but I'm 99% sure that I would not be okay riding Velocicoaster. So my mind was completely and utterly blown by this. So I'm wanting my sister to watch the videos. She's currently reluctant because of other things going on. But I did turn to her and I said, do you know what? I think there's enough that we would be able to do in Epic Universe and have a good time and not feel embarrassed or restricted or whatever, that it may be worth considering us going just to Epic Universe. Which had never mentally even been on the cards before. So if anyone at Universal is watching, which I highly doubt anyone from Universal is, but if you are watching, thank you. Thank you for listening to people that have said, you need to do something about this because it's not working for a lot of people. I would still love it if you could have female curvier seat testers as well as male seat testers, because I really think that the majority of seat testers must be male or very skinny. But thank you so much for listening. Thank you for doing something about it. And I did notice that some of the attraction designers had commented on Adrian's Twitter feed when he was commending them as well, saying we really did put a lot of effort into this. And believe me, your effort is so appreciated. And to Universal executives, I am now considering planning a trip to a Universal park, which I haven't considered doing for 10 years. And that is huge. This is going to make such a huge difference to people. So thank you. Okay, and as we're talking about Universal, let me get back to the UK park Universal situation and what my current thoughts are on it, because I've had a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts. Yay, anxiety brain, not turning off. First of all, it's huge, exciting news for the UK theme park goers. because I think when Disney was scouting locations for what at the time was Euro Disney, now Disneyland Paris, I think there was an element where people were quite gutted that they didn't choose the UK. And I totally understand the reasons they didn't choose the UK. But even getting to Disneyland Paris for us, effort is required compared to, for me, going, for example, to Legoland or Thorpe Park or Chessington or even Alton Towers. So it is a huge, huge thing for people in the UK. It's going to be a huge thing for creating job creation and everything else. It's also, I have a lot of criticisms of UK theme parks. Some of them are similar to what I've already just discussed. But also, I a lot of the time I find them to be somewhat creatively stagnant. And I'm not just talking about attractions here. I'm talking about food, for example. I have not been to Legoland in Florida, disclaimer. But if I compare Legoland in Florida to Legoland in Windsor, which are run by the same company, mind you, the food, like, there are so many food options at Legoland in Florida that they just don't have at Legoland Windsor. Now, they have brought some of them over, I presume because people have been like, you need to do something here. But the last time I went to Legoland Windsor, which was a couple of years ago now, it was literally, there was a burger place, there was a chicken place, there was a fish and chip place. Actually, the fish and chip place hadn't opened yet. And there was pizza, burger, chicken. Now, if I compare that to if you go to, for example, a Disney park, there's so many more options available than just that. Like, so many more cuisines available. Yes, you can get those things, but there are so many other options. And I won't lie, I was a bit like, oh, what is going on? Now, one of the things you have to understand is that a lot of the UK theme parks are run by a company called Merlin. And so Chessington, Thorpe Park, Alton Towers, they're all under the same umbrella company. And Legoland, to some extent, comes under that as well. It's Legoland's a weird one because they get influence from Lego and from Merlin, but they are run and operated by Merlin. And I don't think that's good for the UK theme park industry, if I'm honest. Now, last year I went to Chester Zoo, and oh my goodness, the food options that were available were incredible. And I was like, they only operate Chester Zoo, the Chester Zoo people. And I'm like, they can manage to do this. Why can Merlin, which is a much bigger company, not manage to do this? As I say, they have definitely improved because I've seen people's videos and the food situation is definitely getting better all the time. But it is nowhere near what it is compared to American theme parks or even Disneyland Paris. However, what they have got to a nice sweet spot is the ticket prices. Now, I'm sure there are lots of people out there that will go, the ticket prices for all of these things are very expensive. And yes, if you're a family of 4, it's going to cost you a fair bit of money. But believe me, in comparison to how much it will cost at Disney, it's nothing. You're comparing like a ticket being, say, $40 to $50 and a ticket that will be over $100 for a one-day ticket. There really is no comparison on the price. So I'm very intrigued as to what Universal are going to do, because I'm expecting them to have the creativity that they have in the US, because they are a totally separate organization to Merlin. They're not involved with Merlin anyway, but they have the power and the money behind them to do some really creative stuff. But I'm worried about the park prices, because on the one hand, I think it's going to push the other parks to be more creative and be better with all of this stuff. But on the other, I've got a feeling that they're going to come in with a much higher ticket price. And if they do that, the other parks are going to start raising their prices because they're going to be like, because we can. So from that point of view, I have mixed feelings. And I will just say, I absolutely do love Legoland. I really, really do. I haven't been to Chessington and Thorpe Park for years, and I haven't been. I think the last time I went to Thorpe Park, it was probably close to 20 years ago. And Alton Towers, I haven't been since I was a wee little thing. I was probably like 5 or 6 the last time I went to Alton Towers, because it's up north. And it's a lot further for me to get to. So yeah, so those are my thoughts. When will I go to? If will I go to? I have no idea. But the fact that I'm even thinking about going is a huge deal. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on Universal and Epic Universe. And Universal coming to the UK. And I'm sure I will give more updates on how I'm feeling with more information trickling out over the next 6 years about Universal in the UK. But for now, if you liked this video, please click the like button and consider subscribing to the channel. Both those things really help. If you'd like to leave a comment, go for it. As long as it's a friendly comment. We like friendly comments here. And just for the record, if anyone decides to start fat shaming me or anyone else, your comment will get deleted. And that's that. Because I ain't having that kind of negativity on this channel. To anyone that is stick thin, I apologise if with the stick thin, it's literally just a descriptor. I think, to each their own. Everyone deserves to live the life that they want to live. Yeah. So for now, I'll say goodbye, and I will see you next time.